This is a story based on John 12 verses 1 to 8 that I call Martha and the Perfumed Oil. He was a friend of my brother's. Well, a friend of the family, I suppose. We all knew him. We'd seen miracles before, the lame walking, the blind seeing. Of course, the miracle I wanted was for more help around the house, but that was too much to ask. Anyway, this time he'd only gone and done it, raised that great lummox from the dead after he was stiff and buried for 4 days as well. Of course I was grateful. He might be an idiot and a useless lump like all men, but he was my idiot, useless brother. I was happy, really happy to have him back. Not that I was going to tell him, of course. He had 4 days washing up to catch up on. As always, with anything emotional, I retreated to my kitchen and indulged in an orgy of baking and cooking. The kitchen's my domain, you see. Lazarus wouldn't know one end of a saucepan from another, and Mary is always off in one of her dreams. I know I nag her to help me, but to be honest, she's worse than useless when she does. She just stands there and I have to tell her everything. Chop that onion, Mary. Mary, stir that pot. Away with the fairies. Anyway, I'm happy among my pots and pans, and if the soup is seasoned with a few tears occasionally, who knows? No one except me and the cat isn't telling. So this time I'd cooked enough to feed the village, or nearly the 5,000, and not just loaves and fishes neither. Lamb stew with coriander and cumin, bread flavoured with onions and a touch of oregano, lots of vegetables. Lazarus likes leeks with curd cheese, and of course my famous apple cake. Someone, I don't recall who, thought we should throw a feast and invite him and his disciples, a way of saying thank you. My way of saying thank you, anyway. So 6 days before the Passover, they came, and Lazarus cracked open the good wine. And I was busy serving, and even the cat was keeping away this time. Goodness knows where Mary had got to, but that was just typical. Lazarus, as host, was pouring the wine and making his silly jokes, and I was just bringing in the roast when she reappeared, with a flagon of that very expensive spikenard oil, the one Lazarus and I had saved up to buy for her birthday. And she goes up to Jesus, breaks the top off the bottle, and pours it straight over his feet. And the smell hits the room. It smells like being outside just after rainfall, when all the world is fresh and new. It smells like moss and ferns and the inside of the well, just as you lean over to pull up the bucket. It smells like a new beginning, a new world. It smells like a chance to start again and do everything right this time. It smells like extravagance and love and worship. And I just stood there with the roast in my hands while Mary massaged his feet and the room was silent. Then she dried his feet with her hair. She'd never remember to bring a cloth in, would she? The oil scented her hair, and I just stood and breathed it in. Then that other great fool, Judas, broke the spell by saying the blindingly obvious, that the oil could have been sold and the money spent on the poor. And I remembered and dumped the joint on the table. But I didn't go, not immediately. I wanted to hear what he had to say about it. And he stood up for Mary. I mean, what man wouldn't like a beautiful woman at his feet, anointing them with oil? He said something strange, though. He said Mary should keep the rest of the oil for his funeral. He said the poor would always be there, but that he wouldn't. And I felt a shiver run down my spine. It was as if he'd prophesied his own death. And just as we were celebrating the return from Lazarus from death, I felt afraid, so afraid, for him and for us without him. I swear a chill fell over the room. And then Mary brushed past me on her way out, and I smelt the oil in her hair again, and I was reminded of the world being renewed by the rain, and Fanciful, I know, but it suddenly smelt like a promise of sun after rain, happiness after tears, of life, even, after death. And I went back to my kitchen and sat for a while, just stroking the cat.